Alright guys, I'm gonna try a little bit different this time, so I'm gonna do a voiceover. Maybe it's easier rather than just writing the text and such. So technically I have two MSI fin at the moment. One is the Intel version and the other one is the AMD. I will do two separate videos, so if you are interested in the AMD one, you just search for it. I will upload it, that one as well soon. So, okay, let's start it. Actually, in regards of tools, I'm using a very generic kit, but technically like a standard Phillips head screwdriver is just sufficient enough. What I am actually doing is, just to make it a little bit easier, is grab a metal magnetic thing. So it's gonna be way easier to remove the screws if it's stuck there. And other things, what I'm usually do, if I have sufficient space, is whenever I unscrew something, I just put next to it. So if I'm working on a laptop, it's way easier just to move the screws like next to it. So after that, I just know which goes where, if I have sufficient space. If not, then obviously I just look back, okay, check the video and such, if there's any difference in the screw sizes, length, or these kind of things. But I think this is gonna be a quite straightforward disassembly. Yeah, so it looks like all screws are the same size for now. But as you can see, I'm just putting on the side the line of this factory seal. There should be a screw as well over there. If you hear any fan noise, those are the two LED lights. Sorry for that, as usual. Nothing to do about it. Otherwise it's gonna be like incredibly dark. I'm not planning to invest any further into the lights. So the last one, the factory seal or the warranty seal. Great. The magnet gave us a very good use. Some cases I'm not using the magnets when I'm working inside the machines, but let's see. To open up, it's also very straightforward. I usually grab like, it's called like guitar pick or opening tool or whatever. It's quite cheap, or you can just use a credit card. What I'm doing is like pushing the laptop towards to my chest, and I'm trying to bend a little bit just to create a little bit of gap, just to separate the two pieces. And as long as I have it open and I hear one snap, that should be there. Okay, great. So it's gonna be way easier after that, just simply like this. Great. Let's see if I need to undo any clips. I guess on the side. Let me go underneath here. Great. Oh yeah, it's going way easier. It's gonna be quite easy. Let's check on the side. Usually if there's a jack, obviously, or in most cases, and especially type C, what I'm going to do is I'm working from here towards to that side. So I'm, let's say, trying to move a little bit over there, because In that case, nothing's gonna hook. Let's see. I need to undo the back part as well, because with the thin we have a HDMI in the back as well. That's quite lucky, because for example the Katana is very similarly built, especially the old chassis. The only difference is technically the HDMI is not on the back, it's on the side. Let's see. If I can undo this just like that. Yes, it's still stuck. Maybe it's the type C. Let me. Yep, it was the type C. I had to a little bit move away from the chassis, so it's now moved away. Yeah, but it's still moving the motherboard. Still need to move from this side. I speak too soon. It's not that easy. Or maybe I'm just doing it wrong. Yeah, I need to undo these as well from this side, but in that case maybe I will use a sponge like this. Can I go? Oh wow, can I go? Oh yes, great. Just simply try to undo it. Great. Perfecto. Excellent. The thing is that I have to move towards to the jack, otherwise, as you can see, it's stuck. And whenever I'm trying to lift it, it's lifting the whole motherboard. Obviously that's not a good thing, so I'm trying to avoid it. Let's see, what can I do? Let's see. All right. Whoa. See, now it should be way easier. That's it. In that case, I have to correct myself. Then, in the past, usually you go like this towards to the jack just to unplug it. But now, in this case, with this machine, actually you have to start next to these plugs. Otherwise, it's actually because of these hooks of the jack plug, it makes it way harder to open it up. So my bad. So start from here. But obviously, if we're gonna assemble it back, it's gonna look like, okay, search for the jack plug, and you have to build it like this back. Otherwise, you cannot hook the jack plugs. All right, let's talk about the machine. Battery, great, good job. We have an NVMe half terabyte SSD over here, so technically you can upgrade the storage if you just swap this. It's quite straightforward. Obviously, in that case, you have to remove this one, create a backup, or install a totally new operating system if you like. That's the most easiest part. The speakers. Technically, this is the LCD cable, so it's very fragile. Pay attention if you try to unplug it, disassembly further or something like that. It's a very delicate connector. All you have to do is, you have something like this or a sponge or something. I highly advise to use plastic. Actually, there's a plastic clip. You just simply go underneath it, unclip it, and you can just unplug the connector. But I'm not gonna do that because obviously I'm just gonna show you what can you upgrade within this machine. So yeah, whenever I actually work inside the laptop, I had highly advise you to unplug the battery. If you check my previous videos, the only reason why I'm also removing the battery is just to show you the product number of the battery. So if you want any replacement or something like that, you can just simply use a Google search and purchase a replacement. So obviously right now I'm gonna do the same again just to check what is the serial number of the battery. So if you have something like this, like a sharp plastic tool, you can just simply put the plastic tool within this groove and push it forward. If you can, just to unplug it. It's gonna help a little bit from the connector side as well, if I can. But technically, there's very small room to unplug it. Let's see. Yeah, there's very small room, so maybe I have to remove the battery before I can even disconnect it. Great. I think since there's no screws, technically, I think it's glued, which is quite a thing, quite a strange thing. Actually, it's very lucky because it's not a very strong glue or sticker. Actually, be very careful if you put anything underneath the battery, because obviously the touchpad is here, but I think there is plastic here, so some connectors should be here. So just pay attention if you try to pry it out. Be very cautious, be very gentle. Also, you don't never ever bend the battery. That's very dangerous. I'm just lifting it up very slowly, just checking where the stickers might be. Also, I'm giving some extra support to the battery just to avoid it to bend it. Okay, that's lifted. I try over here. Great, that's also. Just moving on. I can see the sticker. Good. Great. So now at least I have more space just to unplug the battery. Great. See, this is what I was talking about, just to be very cautious not to damage the touchpad connector. So let's see, it's a rechargeable lithium polymer BTY M6K. I guess that's gonna be the same in the AMD version, but we will see. So yeah, there you go, your battery. BTY M6K. Okay. So technically we have a CMOS battery over here. So if you want to reset your BIOS, I think we don't have any. Where is it? Let's check it, because in some cases there's a hole where you can reset the machines, but actually I don't see. That's quite strange. As you can see, this is the screw hole. Next to it there's a pinhole where you can actually reset, let's say, either the BIOS or put it into shipping mode, but the button is missing here, so that's strange. Anyway, maybe some cost cutting. But as you can see, we have a SATA connector here as well, and it's written here like HDD1. So technically, if you put a 2.5-inch bracket, this is what it's used to call that bracket, you can put either a regular standard HDD or a SATA 3 SSD, 2.5-inch SSD. Obviously I'm recommending the SSD just to avoid any moving storage into these new models. Otherwise it's just gonna slow down your machine like incredibly. So try to search for an SSD. A 2.5-inch SSD is quite cheap anyway. There's no moving part. The IOPS are way higher than regular HDD, so you can still leave the standard storage here as an operating system and just simply extend your current storage with a new one. So in that case, you don't have to bother with the operating system reinstallation and with the recovery drives as well. 2 memory modules. These are Samsung DDR4 3200 mega transfer. So it's like not megahertz, it's now mega transfer. Yep, 2 modules, 8 gigabytes actually. So these are 16 gigabytes this current setup. I think the maximum module what you can put here in a DDR4 setup is 64 gigabyte, so technically 32. So technically the maximum is like 64 as I remember, but frankly speaking, I mean, like 32 gigabytes maximum inside this machine is plenty enough. I don't recommend putting even more than that. In terms of storage, there's no limitation. You can put like a 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte, even 8 terabyte NVMe SSDs. There's no limitation. I think the space between the chassis and the socket is plenty enough. You can put like a 2-layer SSD. Be very cautious when you are lifting it up. Actually, I'm not giving like I'm not putting any big force when I'm trying to lift it. I'm just holding it up a little bit. I'm just waiting that to the thermal pads to lose the connection. Not connection, but actually it's quite sticky. This part is quite sticky. These are the thermal pads which actually moving away the thermal from the SSD. Actually, I never understood why they are putting thermal pads underneath the NAND flash. So actually this is the storage part and this is the controller, because it's quite strange how this is operating. Usually the controller needs to be cooled down in order to operate in an ideal level, but actually the NAND, where actually you are storing your data, it's very comfortable with around 30 to 50 Celsius degrees. So maybe they're just using it to, let's say, to just hold it better or something like that, to use it as a holder. Anyway, so technically speaking, you can put whatever SSD, NVMe SSD in it. I believe this is an NVMe PCIe 4 or Gen 4. Technically speaking, Gen 4, Gen 5 doesn't make any really sense. Gen 4, plenty enough. So as long as you are not overclocking or playing like, I don't know, actually I don't think there's any game what can utilize these kind of things. Anyway, so Gen 4 is plenty enough. If you need like a shit ton of storage, you can go with 8 terabytes, even 8 terabytes, and also 8 terabyte here is an SSD, and you have a beast of a machine. Underneath this, actually this is also a thermal pad, so I guess it's getting very hot as well, is the Wi-Fi chip. So technically you can upgrade the Wi-Fi chip. It's very easy as well. There are two types of connectors. One is marked with a red thingy. You just need to lift it very carefully, otherwise some people can rip out the connector itself. So you just need to lift it up like that, get your screwdriver, and as you can see, I'm using the same screwdriver, regular Phillips head, like $1 screwdriver, nothing else. It's an Intel AX211. So I think it's how it's called. It's not USB type of thing. What's the different? Anyway, I will write it here. There are two types of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth card, because Wi-Fi and Bluetooth is inside this card. So if you remove it, you won't have any Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. It's inside this chip. So there are two types. I will write it somewhere here as a text box. If you try to search for an upgrade for your Wi-Fi, make sure that it's using the same protocol or the same standard. Otherwise, it won't even boot. So even if you have a good Wi-Fi chip, it's unable to communicate, and it's not gonna boot at all. There will be like a black screen. You're gonna freak out that, oh, my machine just broke, I cannot fix it. No, usually it's just the Wi-Fi card. It's an incompatible Wi-Fi card. So yeah, simply one fan, great. One line. Actually, this is the CPU, the central processing unit, and this is the GPU. Usually, because CPU is usually why they are putting closer to the memory sockets. This is how you can easily distinguish which is which. Actually, it's also like if you do like let's say you want to do a thermal paste change. It's very easy, especially if you're working in an MSI laptop. The screws are actually numbered. It's important when you are reassembling the machine, because actually it's telling you the order how you should screw it in. Unscrewing is like, I don't think there's any big difference. So let's start it. I might try to avoid to unplug the LCD, the display connector if I can. Just lift it up here. Let's see if I can work around, and yes, great. In that case, I don't need to bother, I guess. Yes. Let's see. This is why you need a magnet. Yep. Just unscrew the CPU. Meanwhile, I'm doing this. Side note, whenever you reassemble your machine, and if you are unplugging your battery, pay attention that it's gonna go automatically into the shipping mode, or I guess reserved mode. So you cannot power it on unless you plug it in the charger. So don't be afraid if you do anything inside your machine and it's not powering on. Usually that's the case. If you unplug it, just pay attention that you have to do these kind of things. I think there's no other. Yes, I need to unplug the fan. Maybe I don't need it. Yes, I don't need the sponge. And I'm trying to lift it up just a little bit. Let's see. The thing is, underneath this and this and this, there are extra thermal pads, which is very sticky. So I'm trying to lift it up very, very slowly to avoid, you know, bending the pipe. Because if you bend these, that's quite trouble. So pay attention to the LCD cable, just move it around. Okay, move it back the thermal pads. Technically, we are done. Now you can do is like remove the old thermal paste with some isopropyl alcohol. Pay attention that the CPU's this part, sorry, I cannot recall what is this part, but anyway, usually you don't need to cool that down. Or the reason why they are putting only here is because this is the part where the CPU gets heated up anyway. So just to avoid this part to heat up, based coming from this source, we are not applying any thermal paste over here. So just be cautious about when you are applying. There's not this is not an issue. This is not an error. This is on purpose. Technically, very similarly how we should cool the SSD, but great. So yeah, this should be the disassembly procedure for the thin, the 13 Gen thin. I will put some extra images, or maybe I can actually show it to you. The serial number for the fan, if you need to change it. Actually, it's quite easy. Let me check if really that's the case, because it's like over there, the fan is there. No, because it's underneath this. Because technically a fan should be something like this part. Maybe the upper part should not be in the package. So you have to just simply unscrew these 4 screws you will get this bottom part, and you just simply put it over here, because as you can see underneath the pipes is the top part of this. So if, let's say, if you purchase a replacement fan, and if it comes with the top part, maybe I suggest to you to just simply unscrew these, do the same with the new one, and just put it here, because removing from the pipe, I think, because those are glued, or I don't know how they assemble it, but it's way bigger of a trouble. So it's just easier just to unscrew it, put it from the top or from the bottom part, and technically you are done. So yeah, so this is the disassembly. Hope you liked it. If you do, please subscribe, etc., etc. Leave a comment. Thank you. Bye.